Alright, now I'm going to do something unusual. I know I just posted a video. It's just finished uploading. Oh, crap. Knocked my cans over. But I'm looking through the rules of expansion, and wow, this is rough. Here's what they say the rules are. Teams cannot reacquire players they trade after January 1st, 2017, prior to January 1st, 2018. This is to prevent teams from entering arrangements to hide players from the expansion draft. There will likely be a lot more guidelines as part of this rule. That's rough. And in every expansion draft, you would see guys get hidden. You'd see guys get traded because, let's say, the Rangers say, "Well, we want to protect McDonough." I'm just throwing a name out there, and so they call the Devils. The Devils go, "Okay, well, we'll take McDonough. You guys are going to give us some draft picks to hide him for you, and then you can have him back after the expansion draft." So the NHL is going, "No, that's brutal. Teams have to expose at least 2 forwards and 1 defenseman who've played either 40 games in the previous season, so 2016-17, or 70 games in the previous 2 seasons, 2015-17. Teams can only lose a max of 1 player." This sounds panic-inducing, but that could include like Lyndon Bay in Vancouver, so it's not as big a deal as it sounds. A lot of teams will have guys that have played 70 games over the previous 2 seasons that if they lose, they're not going to be too upset about. The expansion team must select players that have a total value between 60 and 100% of the 2016-17 salary cap. This is fantastic news for teams who have bad, shitty contracts. This means that at least a couple of shitty contracts are going to get taken by an expansion team in Vegas. The expansion team can't buy out anyone it picks in the expansion draft until the following offseason 2018. But it doesn't say they can't trade him. So maybe they get a shitty contract. Maybe the guy plays really well for them. Yeah, we'll see. The expansion team will be given the same draft lottery odds as the team that finishes 3rd last in the league and cannot pick later than 6th in the 2017 entry draft. It's possible the expansion team can end up with the 1st overall pick if it wins the lottery. I don't have a problem with that. To get into the NHL as an expansion team costs $500 million. This is why they're trying to give them a competitive team off the start. So I don't mind them having a chance at the number 1 draft. Teams must protect players that have no movement clauses active in the 2017-18 season. No movement clauses active in 2016-17 will have no impact. There will likely be exceptions made for players with no movement clauses who are out with career-ending injuries, i.e. Ryan Clough and Nathan Horton. Teams are not expected to be forced to protect those contracts. This is big. So if you sign a guy to a no movement clause, you have to protect him. This is going to expose a lot of younger players who honestly are the kind of guys you want as an expansion team. Teams will have a choice between protecting 7 forwards, 3 defensemen, and 1 goaltender, so 11 players, or 8 skaters and 1 goaltender, 9 players. Oof. The second option allows for teams to protect 4 defensemen, but forces them to expose 3 more forwards in order to do so. That's brutal. That is a brutal system. Overall, the fact that rule creation process is this far along and in the hands of 30 existing teams is another strong indicator the NHL is serious about expansion. And it's going to be Vegas. Now, here's another one. Here's another article I'm going to click on here. And just take a quick look, and then I'll shut this video down. This is just about expansion. Blah. Even if you build it, NHL still won't come to Quebec City. The dreams of the Nordiques comeback in Quebec City looks more and more like just that, a dream and a very expensive one. A few weeks before the opening celebration at the Center Videotron last year, Mayor Regis Lebaume was proud to announce the city had saved $30 million on construction costs thanks to a tight management. The city will receive $3.9 million from the first year of operation of the building. If you add the $33 million for the naming rights, this looks like a fine business deal for Quebec City. That is, if you discount the $200 million put in the project by the provincial government plus $170 million financed by the city itself. Sure, the 76-year-old or 67-year-old Colisée had to be replaced. Although they call it multi-purpose, the real purpose behind building The 18,259-seat arena was not to welcome a junior hockey team and Rihanna or Def Leppard shows. Quebecor, which owns Videotron, has already submitted a bid for the expansion process, which is set to conclude on June 22nd. From the start, the state-of-the-art amphitheater was meant to send a strong message to NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman. Quebec City's ready for a comeback in the NHL, and a serious owner has a plan. The Nordiques departed in 1995. Damn you, Denver. That's just me. And the wound never healed. Adding to the humiliation of losing the franchise, the fans saw their team winning the Stanley Cup the following year wearing Colorado Avalanche jerseys. Yes. As a huge Nordiques fan, it was very upsetting. The economics of hockey changed since the Nordiques left. There's some revenue sharing in the NHL. The greater Quebec City, the greater Quebec City area is in much better situation with the unemployment rate of 4.2%. Mayor LeBaume said this week he plans to import jobless people. I wonder if I can get to Quebec City. What do you think, kiddies? Let's get work in Quebec City. I don't speak French. Still, Quebec is a small market with few large corporations. More importantly, the exchange rate variations make Quebecor bid risky. At $500 million US for a new franchise, you might pay as much as 700 million Canadian on a given day. Almost all your expenses are in US dollars, and you have to compete in a market where the Montreal Canadiens are stronger than ever. I'm going to guess he's meaning financially, because the team is not. Former Prime Minister Brian Mulroney, who has been dealing with the NHL on behalf of Quebecor, said recently that the comeback was not for tomorrow. Many were quick to denounce the supposed anti-Canadian bias of Mr. Bettman. See? Mr. Bettman. This is the NHL owners. More than Bettman. Frustration's running high, and Mr. Bettman makes for an excellent scapegoat. The common hatred towards him will one day be recognized as a major contribution to Canadian unity. The truth is, Quebecor has good reasons to get cold feet. The only sensible way to make some money with the new Nordiques is to generate through profits with Quebecor-owned media to compensate for losses of the hockey operations. With a payroll around $70 million US, it's quite a gamble. That's $100 million Canadian. Mr. Mulroney and other company officials seem less willing to roll the dice. With such a beautiful arena, it seemed a done deal last year. It makes it only more cruel for the fan. Maybe later, maybe a U.S. team could move north for less. The dream never dies, but it's pretty much broken, and it comes with a bill. So there you have it. That's the Globe and Mail. That's their article published yesterday on the Quebec Nordiques not coming back. Expansion is always fascinating to me. I remember San Jose, I remember Tampa and Ottawa, Florida, Anaheim, Nashville, Atlanta. I remember all these expansion teams coming in. I remember when the WHA came in, and I love to watch new teams play. Yes, it waters down the product somewhat, but there are so many good players who are in the NHL right now, we're not going to notice a significant difference in play. But those expansion rules, combined with the fact Quebec isn't coming in, like, think about it this way. If you're upset about Quebec not coming in, if Quebec and Vegas both come in, each team will lose 2 players. And with the rules of who is allowed to be protected, you could be looking at major problems for some teams. I'm thinking like Chicago, St. Louis, Dallas, potentially Rangers, Pittsburgh. Teams with depth, teams with a lot of depth and good young players are going to lose big time in that kind of expansion rule. Those rules are just brutal. I'll have to dig around and find the old rules, but that's where the expansion is right now. The NHL is not sending that memo to 30 teams if they're not expanding. They're expanding to Vegas. They're softening the blow about Quebec, letting us know, hey, Quebecor is getting cold feet. And you can't really blame Quebecor for getting cold feet. This is going to be one hell of a ride. Yeah, so peace out, and that's it for me for tonight. I just found that, and I thought, you know what, I've got to read it and share my reaction, my gut reaction to this. It didn't say anything about guys on entry-level contracts. If kids on entry-level contracts are exposed in the expansion draft, you're going to see massive overhaul because they were protected last time around. And no movement clauses didn't mean anything. You could still expose them. This is the NHL saying we want competitive teams in expansion areas immediately. The Vegas team is going to be probably pretty damn good right off the hop. But again, they're paying $500 million. They should be good off the hop. So yeah, thanks for watching.